Something new from Ruger. Actually, not entirely new. It's been out for almost a year, better part of a year now, about 8 months or so. And it is the LC9 Pro. A little bit of a variation on the popular Ruger LC9. And one of the big differences to me are, two of the big differences are the trigger has been greatly improved, and they have removed the manual thumb safety from the exterior of the pistol. So those are two major differences if you're looking at the difference between regular LC9 and the LC9 Pro. LC9 Pro comes with this nice little arm band or bracelet, whatever. It's sort of a kind of a cool rubber bandish sort of thing. I like that. I'll keep that around. Just in case you can't tell, there's a high power rifle match going on not too far from where I'm standing. One of the complaints I have about Ruger in this case, and any pistol maker that does this, is that they provide one magazine, just one magazine with the gun, and that it does have this pinky extension, which is nice. It's very comfortable. It gives you a full grip, at least if your hands aren't any larger than mine. But one magazine, really? Come on, guys. I'd rather pay $10 or $20 more for the gun and get a second magazine. So the first thing I did was I ordered a second magazine. I ordered this from Midway USA, not directly from Ruger, although it is an official Ruger magazine. It's got their stamp on it and everything. But what I found interesting was the magazine that came in the gun is stamped made in the USA. The magazine I ordered is stamped made in Italy. So I'm guessing that the Italian made is probably Mechgar. The USA made, I'm not so sure. They both seem to be pretty well identical. They both come with the pinky extension or the flat base plate. The one that came with the gun has the pinky extension already on it, and the one that I bought aftermarket has the flat base plate, but has the pinky extension with it. I was going to go ahead and put the pinky extension on there because I know I'm probably going to like it. But again, the idea here is that this would be a carry gun. It doesn't necessarily make a lot of difference for in the waistband purposes, but if you're going to pocket carry a pistol like this, that extra pinky extension sticking out the bottom can make a difference between whether or not it makes a good pocket carry. So I wanted to test the gun initially with both style magazines, even though Ruger doesn't give you both style. They are 7-round magazines, so the capacity is 7+1. This is a single stack 9mm. It's very thin, very, very thin, comparable to a lot of the other little flounders that are out there today. The G43, obviously, the M&P Shield, the Nano, the Car PM9, and those are all guns that this is bound to be compared to very soon. Probably need to do definitely a comparison of concealed carry single stack 9mm pistols coming up here in the near future. So I'm going to put the first 100 through this gun. I will talk about the specifications for it a little later when I have that information at my fingertips, which I don't right now. Things like weight and measures and all that, but it doesn't weigh very much. It is a polymer framed gun. I do like the polymer that Ruger uses. It's a nylon filled polymer, and it has a nice feel to it, a nice quality. So, as I said, I'm going to try both of these magazines because I think it's important to get a feel for how the gun shoots with both of them. And the gun can feel very different depending on the magazines. Okay, so we're going to do a lot of magazine loading since we've got 2 magazines that hold 7 rounds each. I'll spend a lot of time with this thing to get 100 rounds through this. But let's get started. Let's get 100 rounds through this thing. We'll see how it shoots. I'll talk to you about how it feels. Let's go. Ruger LC9 Pro. This is the first 100. These are the very first shots. Wow, surprise break. Huh. Failure to feed. Was not an ejection problem. And I don't see anything. It looks odd. I'm shooting Herder's, by the way. This is Herder's Select. Alright, just looks like the slide didn't cycle all the way. Now, where were we? Wow, this trigger is something. Light and crisp. Wow, that's only 7 rounds. It's obviously way too early to start doing the touchdown dance or anything, but pretty impressive trigger. All right, so by the way, I am just at 7 yards. Defensive pistol, defensive distance. Aiming at a 1-inch square. And right now I'm just using point of aim hold. Okay. Looks pretty good. That hard to say why that one failure to feed issue occurred. Like I say, it looked like the slide just didn't cycle all the way back. But you know, other than that, wow, impressive trigger, very impressive trigger. Let me reload these mags and let's get going some more. Let's get back at it. Shooting Herder's Select at 7 yards. I'm still going for my 1-inch square. I'm really impressed by this trigger. It's got a long stroke for a reset. But man, it is light. It feels like nothing coming back. Super crisp break. I mean, it's Yeah, I'm starting to get a little used to it now. I'm just get used to its travel and where the stroke is. But wow, it's still just like a surprise break every time. There's really no pre-indication that you're about to drop that sear. It is really a smooth and crisp trigger. Quite impressive. Thing I hate about small single stack magazines is they run dry so quick. I got to do more reloading. So back we go. Okay, let's go some more. We also have a black 1-inch square on the head, so let's do some headshots. Rut row, another failure to feed. And again, I don't see anything. The round looks like it's a little bit off center, but I doubt very much that has anything to do with it. Yeah. Something about the cycling of the slide, I think. The dangling pinky thing is really not much of an issue either. That usually doesn't bother me when I'm shooting a gun. It might bother me when I'm holding it, you know, and just sort of test fitting it to my hand because I'm paying attention to it. But when I start shooting, I don't really notice it. But I definitely will say that the little pinky extension on the magazine is a nice plus. It does feel more comfortable. It's an impressive little gun. Impressive little gun. I'm not impressed with failures to feed. That's 2 so far in less than 50 rounds, so that's a pretty high percentage. But we'll keep our eyes on that. We're going to keep going, keep pushing through, and we'll get into some Freedom munitions ammo as well. All right, let's shoot this thing a little bit faster. Enough of this slow aiming stuff. You know, with 2 different kinds of ammo, looking good, making good groups. Okay, so I promised I would take a look at the specifications of this gun and show you a little more from the bench. So let's do that. And to do that, I'm going to go ahead and show you just how it comes in the box. This is a Ruger cardboard box, like most Rugers come in. And the gun also comes in a little pistol rug, which is nice. And this is just the way it comes. So we have our little rubber band bracelet that's actually kind of neat. So there's the gun. We also get, of course, a lock. No surprise, law says we have to get one. Get the first round fired, and a little chamber flag, and then your warranty information and registration for that, and the user's manual. And by the way, I did mention at the range that this gun comes with 1 magazine. One stingy little magazine, and it's got the pinky extension or pinky base plate on it. So this is the flush mount if you wanted to change that out. First thing I did was order a second magazine, because I can't even imagine just having one. So there's that, there's the box. And basically the LC9s is the striker-fired version of the popular LC9, which is a hammer-fired. And that really was prompted by the popularity of the LCP in 380. So it's definitely coming from a pedigree of very popular handguns, very popular carry guns. This gun is certainly designed for personal defense, it's designed for concealed carry, and it is small and it is thin. I'm going to pop this little rubber band off of here because I think I'm going to save this. I like it and I don't want to get it all messed up. Basic specifications, the important stuff anyway. It's a 3.1 inch barrel, so it's a shorty. The width of the gun is 0.9 inches wide, and that's important. Anytime you're under an inch, that's a really good thing for a carry gun. The height, 4.5 inches, and of course that is here to here, right? I don't think that takes this into consideration. In fact, I'm certain it doesn't. Here to here, 4.5 inches, and that's a good number. 17.2 ounces, so it's a pretty light gun, and the capacity is 7.1. So it comes with a 7-round magazine, and of course the one would be in the chamber. Those are your basic specs. Couple of important things, to me at least, that one of the reasons I held off on even being interested really in the LC9 was because I didn't like the thumb safety. I just don't want a thumb safety, and yes, I know you don't have to use it if it's there, and that's absolutely true. I just would prefer it not to be there. And the other thing is Ruger has a tendency to put a magazine disconnect safety on most of their pistols, and I'm not a fan of that at all, and this has neither. So it does not have an external thumb safety, nor does it have a magazine disconnect safety. And what that means is, with the magazine out, it will still fire. So while I was at the range, I had a couple of failures to feed, and both of them were Herder's ammunition, which is very unusual. I find Herder's to always be extremely reliable for me, and didn't have any with the Freedom munitions, the other ammo that I shot. So it was limited to just the one ammo, and it was two relatively early on in the shooting, and then it didn't happen again. So I've tried to give a little bit of thought into what that might be. And you know, when I was out at the range, I thought maybe the slide just didn't cycle all the way back far enough to pick up that other round, but it did lock back. So I don't know the cause of that, and I wanted to, I was thinking about whether or not I was riding the slide stop, and I'm pretty sure I was not, because of where it is, and I know my grip, and I know that where my thumbs would be exactly like this. It's almost it's not impossible for me to try to, but it's impossible almost for me to accidentally ride that slide stop. So if it was out here someplace, I'd say maybe, but nope, I don't think that was it at all. So I don't know what that is. We'll have to see. I'll have to do some more in-depth testing. I'm certainly going to compare this gun to some others in its class, and we're going to see if it has any more of that type of failure. One of the things that is a little bit different about this particular Ruger pistol is the way you take it down. Field strip for cleaning and maintenance, and let me just demonstrate that real quick. There's a little control right here, a little slide lever, or tab if you will, and what you have to do is you have to push that down. Basically the easiest way to do it is just push it down like that with your finger. You'll hear it click. That exposes a pin. See that pin right there? Okay, so then you move the slide back until you have a clean access to that pin, and then from the opposite side you have to push something like a little paper clip, because you don't have very much room. You don't even have room for a good sized punch. Like here's a regular Glock tool size punch, and it's actually too big to go in there. So use a paper clip. I think they even recommend a paper clip. But it's not, the good news is it's not much resistance. It pushes through pretty easily. There we go. You can see it sticking out there, and then I can just pop that right through. I'm generally not a fan of any takedown method that requires a tool of any kind, because I might not have a paper clip. You know, and now I'm looking for a little twig or something that, you know, in lieu of a paper clip. So I'm generally not a fan of any takedown method that requires a tool, even a simple tool like that, and even one that's provided with the gun, because, you know, it's one of those things, Murphy's Law, when you need it, you won't have it. So having done that, slide comes right off, and everything else looks pretty familiar. We have our guide rod and recoil spring assembly, and it is a dual recoil spring. And we have our barrel, and it's a pretty standard looking barrel except for this front. Right on the front we've got this sort of little bell shape to the barrel. I'm not quite sure what the design idea is there. I don't know if that's just a way to lighten the barrel a little bit, take a little weight out of it. But you know, I presume that it's still strong enough, but that is a lot of material to take out of the barrel. So that's an interesting design. But everything else, pretty straightforward stuff. I'll clean it later. I won't make you watch me do that. I did take it down and clean it and lubricate it before I shot it. You can still see running some grease on there. Extreme weapons grease is what I'm running. And to reassemble, we simply reassemble just like we would any other pistol. Okay, just want to drop the pin back in. Make sure it goes all the way down and is seated. You can see the slide. We'll clear it and then push that tab back up and lock it. You're good to go. So the only extra little weird thing is having to use the paper clip or similar tool to push that pin out initially. Other than that, it's pretty straightforward. The final 8 Ruger LC9s Pro. It's an impressive little gun. A couple takeaways, a couple things to talk about when I get back on the bench. We'll look at the specifications of this gun, and we'll talk about a couple of failures that we had to feed, and talk about why this thing a little bit tender on my trigger finger. All that and more. Stay tuned. Here's the last 8. There you go. Ruger LC9s Pro. No thumb safety. Very sweet trigger. Little harsh on my fingertip. Not sure why, but very sweet trigger. Okay, I commented about the trigger, that it's very impressive. It's very light and crisp, and I want to measure it. So let's go ahead and measure this trigger. I'm going to do about maybe 5 pulls here, and we'll take an average. Okay, and the average of 5 pulls, 4 pounds, 14.9 ounces. And let me tell you, it actually feels every bit that light, and maybe even lighter. This is a very crisp and light trigger. But I did comment that it made my finger a little sore, so I think it's just something about the angle. It is pretty severe, the way it's got a long stroke, and it really sits out there at quite an angle. So I think it's just a matter of, with the way I'm using the trigger, the point the toe of that trigger is just sort of digging into my finger a little bit. So that's something I would have to modify a little bit if I was going to shoot this gun a lot. So there's the first look at the Ruger LC9s Pro. It's a promising little pistol. We're definitely going to have to do a series of single stack 9 comparisons, because this one needs to go up against the likes of the Glock 43 and the M&P Shield